What's going on, guys? Mike from Battling Dad Bod. So the last two videos went over basically workouts, what we're going to cover in the channel, and then last one we did sleep, the importance of sleep. So before we get into actual workouts of like things I try to do, things I do when I'm here at work and have access to a gym, things I do when I'm not at work and don't have access to a gym, before we do all that, I feel like it's not doing it justice if I don't talk about nutrition a little bit. I'm not here to push a certain diet on you, to push a certain type of plan, just being transparent and upfront. I am vegan, plant-based, if you will. Vegan comes with a stigma on it a lot of times, and technically we're not vegan. I have leather belts. I have shoes that are made out of leather. My wife has pocketbooks that are leather. So vegan is a lifestyle, right? Plant-based is the diet portion of it. So that is what my wife and myself and our two kids are. They've never known anything except being plant-based. I love it. I think it's great. Does that mean that like you have to do it? Not necessarily. Not if you guys are not down with that. So I have not always been plant-based. Most of my life I have been a huge meat eater. It was only in like the last 4 years or so that I went plant-based. I did that. I was, like, as you know, I'm a teacher. I was home for winter break, was on Netflix, watched documentaries. Don't do it. If you don't want to change what you're doing, once you know something, very hard to unknow things. You know, if you're that type of person that gets like convicted with things, if you're not ready for it, don't watch it. I will just prep you there. But I watched these documentaries. My wife came home from work and I was like, I think I'm no longer eating meat or dairy. And she was like, okay. My wife is amazing. And she was like, okay, I never really liked meat that much anyway. And I was like, wow. Like if it was reversed and she watched a documentary and she told me in the middle of me eating meat, I would be like, have fun with that. Like I'm going to go grab a burger and some boneless wings and whatever. So that is just my personal journey. What I do, that is not what you need to do or what I'm pushing. That out of the way. Nutrition. It does not matter what your diet is. What matters is what you're fueling your body with, right? And I know that we can get into like, if you are a hardcore vegan, you're like, no, it does matter. Like animal proteins are not good. I agree with you, but that's not what this channel is about, right? I'm trying to make people healthy overall. Dad bods, we're battling it. Does that mean you can only be vegan if you're battling a dad bod? Absolutely not. Like everybody from different walks, right? So the main thing is like, do the things that are obvious and easiest. Now, easiest in terms of like easy to identify, not actually easy to do, actually very hard, probably the hardest to do, right? So obvious is fuel your body with nutritious food, not junk, not garbage, right? Easiest would be identifying the things that are like, yeah, it's probably not too good for me, right? Like, oh, whatever your crutch is, I drink soda. I'm a big soda drinker, you know, like red flag right away. Stop doing that. That's probably a very easy thing. Like consuming calories and sugar and nothing really else through liquid is a very easy way just to put on weight, right? Especially like belly fat. So not dad bod approved. So, well, I guess dad bod approved. Not battling dad bod approved. So identify the things in your diet that like are holding you back if you actually want to get to a place where you can achieve a body that you are proud of or that you're happy that you worked hard for. Easiest things right off the bat, I tell people when I used to personal train them, if you're drinking soda, that is a huge thing. Like get rid of it. Also, look at your water intake. A lot of people are dehydrated. Your water intake is massive on so many levels. It'll help with mood. It'll help with feeling satiated. A lot of times you think you're hungry and really you're thirsty. So drinking water will help, how much food you consume. It helps with headaches. It helps. Dehydration comes with so many different types of symptoms, right? So up your water intake. No matter what you're drinking, up it. It's never a bad idea to up it. And then fuel your body with like real food. If, when I was working in San Francisco, I had this sweatshirt for a health advocate at the schools. And I wasn't like the food police, but I was like, if kids wanted to learn about what they were putting into their body, I would try to educate them. And the slogan on the back of the sweatshirt said, if you can't pronounce it, don't eat it. Like obviously generalization, but a pretty safe rule. What I tell people being a father, when I give advice or if I train clients or things like that, I'll tell them, if you wouldn't give this to your 2-year-old, because like I'm not going to let her eat that garbage, then like you shouldn't be eating that yourself, right? If you're reading on the back and it's like high fructose corn syrup or crazy things, you're like I don't know that word. You probably shouldn't be putting that into your body, right? Food dyes, yellow 5, red number 3, the blues, right? All of those food dyes, not good for you, okay? And most of that's like, do you have to be obsessed with reading the labels? No, not necessarily. Like, you're smart enough to know. Like, should you be eating chips? Probably not. Should you be eating ice cream every night? Probably not. You can, but then like, there's going to be a clear, let me circle why you're not achieving the body that you want, So with anything, guys, like this is not going to come overnight. Like it takes work. And like we talked about in the first video, if you make this a priority, then like it's totally attainable for anybody, no matter where you're at. You just have to make it a priority. You actually have to put in the work to do it. And diet, like sleep, I don't know. It's either sleep or diet that's the most important in my mind, just because like whenever my sleep gets down, we talked about it in the other video, your resolve just goes down. You're like, I'm just going to eat junk food and comfort food. And like, I'm not going to the gym. I'm staying in like pajama. Like, everything goes out the window. That being said, diet is like, you can't out-train a bad diet, right? Like no matter how good you are at going to the gym and waking up and going to the gym and really pushing yourself in the gym and not just like messing around and being like, well, I went to the gym. It's like, no, you like actually put out effort and intensity and push yourself. That's amazing. That's what you should be doing. But that's never going to beat in the scales. It's never going to top the scales of you eating like trash. If you're eating like trash, if you're drinking alcohol numerous times per week, that is a very easy way that you're going to probably not have the body that you want. Not only does, if you're drinking beer and things like that, does that itself will put on weight, but obviously if you're getting to a point where you're getting tipsy, if you're getting drunk, we all know it lowers inhibition, right? And so you're going to be like, I'm not eating chips, like I'm good. I said that like I'll have whatever, my one day on the weekend where I'll get to eat whatever I want. And all of a sudden it's a Thursday night, you go out with the guys and you're watching the football game and you have a beer, 2 beers too much or whatever. And all of a sudden you're like, yeah, I'll have those chips. Yeah, I'll get another thing of wings. Like your inhibitions get lowered. And so that's twofold. But diet, like eat real food. Things that like you don't really have to look at the back of the package, right? Like even if you're a meat eater, and if you're a meat eater, it's like chicken. What should be in your chicken? Chicken. Try to get it like hormone free and whatever, as healthy as you can get chicken or as healthy as you can get beef. Again, like I've been out of that game for 4 years. And so like, I don't really have much insight or, if you ask my recommendation, I wouldn't personally, but again, this channel is for anybody battling dad bods, not, go vegans go, which I am, but still, right? So chicken should be in your chicken, right? Like broccoli, vegetables, fruit and vegetables, grains. Don't go crazy, right? Don't have bread for every meal. Don't like be a total like grain head, if you will, but like have oatmeal, have like, brown rice, quinoa, like have different grains that have nutritional value, right? When you're getting things out of jars or out of cans, a lot of times, like there's a lot of salt or a lot of sugar to things added to things to either make them taste better or preserve them. So a lot of times you'll be like, oh, well, this is healthy. And then all of a sudden you read and you're like, why is there sugar in things, right? Like sugar is one of those things, unfortunately, it's in everything. Or like ketchup. You're like, ketchup, it's like tomatoes, isn't it? Yes, it is, with sugar and some other stuff in it. So like there's ketchups out there that are sweetened with honey, naturally sweetened with honey. So they have no high fructose corn syrup, no cane sugar, no anything like that. Like the only sweetener in it is honey. Delicious. You can't really tell. I couldn't tell. And like little things like that will help, but also like that's like once you get the big problems out of the way, then you start looking at like, oh, I have to look at like if my ketchup has honey in it. Don't start with your ketchup having honey in it if you're eating bags of Doritos and if you're eating pints of ice cream, right? Like address the big problems first and then work your way down from there. And so, again, I'm not here to lecture you on what you eat or how you eat. I'm just going to tell you from experience of clients, of me, myself, of watching, being a middle school health teacher and watching these kids come in at like 8 o'clock in the morning, eating flaming hot Cheetos, and then being like, oh, mister, like, how are you so good at sports? Like outside, you're playing football with us, you're playing basketball with us. Like how you never get tired? And I'm like, well, one, I'm not having flaming hot Cheetos for breakfast, right? Like that's a start. If you actually want to improve performance, it's like a car, right? You can't go buy a Ferrari and put in 87 octane. You could, but is it going to perform as well as you would put in the high octane that it needs, the 91 or 93 or whatever it takes? Like, no, right? If you're going to put junk in, you're going to get junk out. You're just not going to feel good. And feeling good is part of it, and that's like a big part of it. But it also it's going to affect you aesthetically. What you eat is going to affect you aesthetically. There'll be certain things that will either bloat you, or things that that if you eat, you probably get acne from. If you don't know those things are real, they exist, and be aware, keep an eye out. That's something. If every time you have whatever, a certain chip or a certain, chocolate drink or blah, you're breaking out the next day, keep that in mind. You might be sensitive to something, you might be allergic to something. Even before I went vegan, I knew, even when I was trying to bodybuild and power lift and all of that, when I was not vegan, I was eating a ton of meat, a ton of everything, eggs, 8 eggs a day. I loved it. It was great. But I knew that if I drank milk specifically, dairy in general, but milk 100%, I bloated. I just knew that. If I wanted to be okay, I'm trying to get ripped, I'm trying to get cut, trying to get that 6-pack or keep that 8-pack or whatever, I knew that if I got a big glass of milk or ice cream or something like that, within an hour, I could see it. And I would be like, oh my God, what is this? You know what I mean? And it's just, when you study your body so closely, you notice little things like that, right? And so things might bloat you, things might upset your stomach, might give you gas. Some people don't react well to beans, right? So whatever it is, keep an eye out for it. But the big thing is whatever diet you choose to follow, make sure that you're eating relatively clean, right? It shouldn't be highly processed foods. You shouldn't have things with try to get non-GMO stuff, but try to get things that are not highly processed. Don't have things that one of the first 2 or 3 ingredients is high fructose corn syrup, right? Or high whatever syrup, because now that high fructose corn syrup is one of the words that people know to watch out for. Now they're moving it to some other types of syrup and things like that. Just be smart, educate yourself. But yeah, when, even simple things like a rice cake. Rice cake is brown rice, sugar, salt, something like that, cinnamon, whatever flavor it is, And if it's cane sugar and there's 2 grams of cane sugar per rice cake, great. It's a healthy snack. That's fine. I'm not saying take out sugar. I'm just saying if you're oh, I'm eating rice cakes, so that's fine. And all of a sudden you look at the rice cakes and it's safflower oil, high fructose corn syrup, yellow number 5. Yeah, you're eating a rice cake, but what's in that? You know what I mean? You need to be, aware of what nutrition, what decisions you're making. And so biggest thing is just make sure that you turn the light bulb on and stay aware of what you're putting in your body. So many people don't think that it correlates to anything else. They don't think that what they eat can affect their sleep. They don't think that what they eat will affect how they perform in the gym. They don't think that what they eat will have an effect on their mood, or if they get tired, or these crashes and things like that. Your diet affects everything. The body is all one thing. Things are connected, and there's connections between everything. And the sooner you pick up on it and become aware of it, the more you're able to realize patterns and then do what works for you, right? Yeah, I don't want to rant at you guys. I just want to, with the first 2 videos, I was going to make something of the workouts I do, or how push-ups are your best friends if you don't have a gym, or all this stuff. And I was I can't really do that without at least just addressing nutrition, to be you can't do sleep and working out and eat whatever you want and actually battle the dad bod, right? So wanted to put that out there. If you guys have questions, if you guys have comments, like let me know what diet you guys are and what works for you and what doesn't work for you, right? Anything that you guys, especially now that we're going to start going into workouts of like little mini workouts, what I do at home, what I do when I have a gym equipment, what I do when I don't have gym equipment, things like that. Just let me know in the comments section. Just tell me like what you want to see. And, I have a lot of guys that will be like, okay, great. I understand like you're doing this. This is awesome when I go to the gym. But what do I do when I'm home? Or what do I do like when I don't have a pull-up bar? Or like, some people, basement apartments, it's like 7-foot ceilings. They're like, I can't even put a pull-up bar in the thing because my head's going to hit the ceiling. Like, what do I do if I want to train my back or if I want to do this? Like, just real life situations of what people are in. So post a comment, let me know like what you want to cover, what you want me to go over and things like that. And in the future, we're going to start doing a little bit of workout things, what I have done, what I currently do to help keep me in shape. All right, guys. So be awesome, be better. You deserve it.